Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Thursday, so we are talking Turner syndrome. And this week, I kind of really want to share my experiences with the screenings that come along with Turner syndrome. There are a lot of health screenings that you go through for a lot of different health concerns that might pop up or that do pop up. And each type of screening has its own experience to it. So I want to kind of share the screenings I actually have experiences with, along with kind of my least favorite to my not favorite, but least favorite screenings, if that makes sense. So there are three major types of screenings that happen. The first one is MRIs. I have had 3 MRIs in my life, 1 on my knee and 2 cardiac MRIs, where they looked at my heart and checked what it was doing. The first one I had contrast dye, and the second one did not. All that means is that you have an IV that they start dye in to be able to see the path more clearly for what the path the blood is taking looks like. If there's a block, they'll be able to see it clear. Just stuff like that. They're able to see the path it's taking clear and see if there's anything there. And I think that's the one I've had the most trouble with because it's a very confined space. For a cardiac MRI, you're completely immersed in it. You're not only partially in it. So you are completely enveloped in this little tiny space. It is very, very loud. Also for the cardiac one, I had to listen to the prompts of the machine and breathe in and hold my breath when it told me to, and then release it when it told me to. So you can't close your eyes and just try to ignore it or fall asleep. You have to be awake for the procedure, otherwise you're just gonna have to do it again because they won't get the right results. So it was very uncomfortable screening for me. I don't like them. I've had it twice now, and both times have kind of been the same feeling. And I think that's just because if you're prone to one feeling in that, it's gonna happen again. And it's not like I'm doing it all the time where I would get used to it. So this is one that wouldn't be that often, but it can happen. And honestly, it is, no matter how unfun it might be, a very good one to have done, just because it is the best way to fully see the picture of what your heart is doing and how it's working and how healthy it is. Just to check on in a more complete way how well it's actually functioning and if there's anything that needs to be addressed. The first time I had it, I was 21, and my endocrinologist ordered it and said, if we're going to see anything, this is a perfect time period to see it, and we could try to catch it early if there is something happening. So it was a very much preventative thing, and I was able to know more solidly that, yeah, my heart was good. The second type of screening is blood work. There's a ton of blood work that needs to be done yearly. There's a ton of other blood work that can pop up from different things happening. The amount of these screenings that you need is going to change based on your overall health picture. You're going to need a lot more blood work if you have something actively going wrong that they're trying to treat, or you have something actively happening that you need to keep up on, that you need to keep looking at and keep monitoring, more than just the once a year. So for the once a year panel, the thyroid is the biggest thing for me that's checked. My thyroid levels have been checked every year since I started going to an endocrinologist, which was when I was about 12 or 13. Thyroid issues is a major concern, so that's a pretty big one. There's also things like your blood sugar levels, your liver levels. I know I've talked about my liver levels being a little funky, and just an overall blood work panel. You can also have them do a hormone panel where they check what your actual hormone levels are, and that could be helpful to know if you feel like there's something going on, or if you feel like your HRT isn't working. You can have them do a hormone panel, and they can know more exactly what treatment for HRT might help you the best. This is one that is not fun for me just because I don't like needles. I have great veins. They never have a problem getting the blood work, but I hate needles, so it's just not fun. I always anticipate it being more uncomfortable than it actually ends up being. Thankfully, I have really great veins for it, but it's just, I just don't like needles, so it's just not fun. Not my absolute least favorite. Definitely not one I love though. The third one is probably my most indifferent screening, and that's an ultrasound. There are a lot of different scenarios where you get an ultrasound. A lot of the times this is coupled with what's called an echocardiogram. An echocardiogram is basically where they put the little sticky pads and hook the wires up to it so they can see your heartbeat, your heart rate, all of that. And then they pair that with an ultrasound of your heart. So they can watch the movement of your heart, they can see what ventricles are opening, all of that. They watch what your heart actually does along with listening to your heartbeat. And it's really fun to hear my heartbeat when I have an echo. And I think this is one that's also pretty unintrusive. It's pretty uneventful. It's not stressful in any way. It's not uncomfortable really in any way. It just takes the time to go and do the screening. Now, the ultrasound part of it could be applied not just during the echo on your heart, but also I've had ultrasounds of my kidneys and an abdomen ultrasound before just to see what was going on. So my kidneys, there's a concern with Turner's for mal-shaped or malformed kidneys, where they can be a different shape and that can make them not function as well. Underdeveloped or smaller kidneys, things like that, that can be a concern. And so when I was 12 or 13, I think like 13, that was one of my initial checkups when I started at an endo, was they did a kidney ultrasound. And they looked at my kidneys, checked how they looked, and that was it. And I haven't had to have one since, so I think that's one they only do once, because probably not that common for your kidneys to change shape or anything. So that can be applied to a couple different things. If you go through IVF, there will also be a lot of ultrasounds and other blood work and other procedures that I don't even have all of the information on. But in the normal course of Turner syndrome treatment, these are the things that are going to come up. These are the screenings you're going to deal with. And in my experiences, they have never been as stressful as I anticipate them being. They've never been as big of a deal as I end up anticipating it to be. I know the biggest part of the experience for me is my anxiety and my anticipation of it before. And then once I get through it, I kind of look back and I'm like, that really wasn't that big of a deal. It's most of the time not that time consuming, not that intrusive. Unless you have something actively going on, you're not going to be doing these every day. Most of these are once a year or one-time things that aren't going to be a common thing. So they don't take that much time up. They give you such valuable information about your health and what your body's doing. And then that helps you and your doctors kind of discuss in more detail what might be best for you. And your doctors can know what might work best for you and what to suggest. So it's super valuable information. This can look very different depending on your case, but overall it's not going to be that big of a burden and it is worth it. So all of the worrying, all of the anxiety gets you the results that you want, so you have the information. That is my experiences with the screenings with Turner syndrome. That is what I've had to do. That is what I know and how I feel about them. I really don't like cardiac MRIs. But I would love to hear your stories of the screenings. If you've had others that I haven't had, what your experience was with them, what your experience is with the screenings that I've also are. I would love to hear your experiences and stories in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share it with everybody. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications on, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!